For more than 4,500 years, the Egyptian pyramids stood tall, challenging time, mind, and interpretation. How did this complete accuracy be built, and who designed the feeling? Traditional history tells us one story, but under the sands of the desert it raises certain questions that no one dared to ask. Was it just graves of departing kings? Or is there something and strange? In the coming minutes, we will take you to the books, beyond the books, to secrets that were sculpted in the stone, a small island, a lost knowledge, and perhaps to a mystery that may change your consideration of history, to something. This is the hidden truth behind the pyramids of Egypt, the beginning of the construction of the pyramids. The era of the Third Family, around 2670 BC. The ancient Egyptians began building the pyramids in the Third Family during the reign of King Zoser, about 2670 to 2640 BC. This era was the true beginning of the idea of building the pyramids. Saqqara Pyramid. The first amphitheater in history is considered, and it was built by the engineer Emotb in the order of 6 layers of limestone to reach a height of about 60 meters. Saqqara's pyramid was an important step towards developing the pyramids. The Fourth Family, about 2613 to 2494 BC. This period is considered one of the most important periods in the history of building the pyramids, where the famous pyramids were built in the Giza Plateau. In this era, the construction of the pyramids became more accurate and professional. The Pyramid of Khufu, the Great Pyramid. History. The Pyramid of Khufu was built during the era of Pharaoh Khufu, about 2580 to 2560 BC. It is located in Giza, near Cairo. Khufu's pyramid is the largest and largest pyramids, as its original height was about 146.6 meters. It was reduced to about 138 meters currently. The number of stones used to build the pyramid is estimated at about 2.3 million stone and granite. It took about 20 years to build with about 20,000 to 30,000 workers. The Pyramid of Khafra, around 2570 BC. History. This pyramid was built during the reign of King Khafra, and he is the son of King Khufu. The Pyramid of Khafra was less than the Pyramid of Khufu, with a height of 143 meters. This pyramid is characterized by the existence of the statue of the Great Sphinx that guards the pyramid, and is believed to represent the king itself. Pyramid of Menkaure, circa 2490 BC. The Pyramid of Menkaure was built during the reign of King Menkaure, son of King Khafre. It is the smallest 3 pyramids in Giza, with a height of about 65 meters, and is characterized by the use of larger and finest stones compared to the previous pyramids. Theories of building pyramids in Egypt for thousands of years. The Egyptian pyramids, especially the Pyramid of Khufu in Giza, have raised many questions about how they were built. Although there are some evidence indicating possible construction methods, science has not yet specified the exact way to build these huge structures. We will address the most prominent theories that were presented on how to build the pyramids, with an explanation of each theory in detail. Wooden cranes and rollers. This theory is based on the assumption that the ancient Egyptians have used wooden cranes and rollers to transport and raise heavy stones to their places in the pyramids. These tools facilitated the process of transporting stones from quarries to the construction site, then uploaded to the upper layers. Wooden cranes were working by lifting stones through ropes that were withdrawn by a simple mechanism. The cranes can be wooden columns revolving around their axes, where workers pull the rope that raises the stone. Rollers. It is a simple mechanical mechanism that can be used to lift heavy weights or to reduce friction when withdrawing stones across the surfaces. The stones were linked to the rope, then lifted using rollers. There is evidence of the presence of wooden tools in the old construction sites in Egypt. Some inscriptions on the walls show workers using types of mechanical tools. This theory faces challenges in terms of their effectiveness in lifting the huge stones that were used in the pyramids, as the weight of some stones reached several tons. There are also questions about how to control these systems during decades-long construction operations. The theory of the spiral slope. This theory suggests that the ancient Egyptians used a spiral slope that wrapped around the pyramid while building it. With the progress of work in building the pyramid, the ramp that wrapped around it was built so that the stones could be raised to higher levels more easily. She was. The stones are transported across the spiral slope that wraps around the pyramid while built. This slope consisting of tilted layers gradually extending from the top to the top. Once the slope was built, the workers were transporting stones using skis or rollers on this slope until they were placed in place. It was discovered. The remains of some inclined slopes in the areas surrounding the pyramids, which contributes to supporting the hypothesis of the spiral slope. Some architectural research indicates the presence of inclined slopes around the pyramids. One of the most prominent obstacles in this theory is the size of the slope that would have been built around the pyramid. The long and zigzag slope may be difficult to create, raising doubts about its effectiveness in lifting huge stones. The theory of straight slopes, outer slope. This theory is assumed that the Egyptians have used a long straight slope around the pyramid. The slope extended from the base of the pyramid to the top, where the stones were lifted and placed in place using skis. A long slope was built on the surface of the earth around the pyramid. This slope was used to transfer heavy stones from quarries to the building. The stones were transmitted using the skis that were withdrawn by a group of workers to transfer stones to the high places. Some excavations showed traces of straight slopes near the pyramids, which enhances the hypothesis of using this type of slope. Also, some ancient inscriptions indicate the use of skis to transport stones. The straight slope poses a problem lifting heavy stones at high altitudes. With the development of the construction, the slope becomes longer and more slope, which may lead to difficulty raising the stones effectively. Building theory using sliding door. This theory accommodates the suggestion that the pyramids are built using layers of smaller stone. These stones are manufactured directly on the site, then gradually raised with the progress of the construction using simple transportation methods. Instead of cutting and transporting huge blocks of stone, the stones were divided into smaller layers that can be raised more easily using traditional systems such as cranes and skis. The stone layers were gradually transferred and put a layer after another with the progress of the pyramid. Some of the effects that indicate the use of similar methods were found in some architectural sites in Egypt. This theory may not be applicable in building huge pyramids, as it was believed that large stones may be more effective in accelerating the construction process. Missing technology theory or unknown techniques. This theory indicates that the ancient Egyptians may have sophisticated technologies lost today, which allowed them to build the pyramids. It is believed that the pharaohs used tools and technology other than discovered so far, such as advanced cutting techniques or innovative lifting tools. These tools may have been destroyed or lost over time. There is evidence of the accuracy of building the pyramids, which indicates that advanced techniques may have been used, but no material evidence has been found on these technologies. This theory lacks the strong evidence that it supports and is difficult to verify due to the lack of concrete data. Skilled workers theory and skis. This theory is that the Egyptians used huge numbers of skilled workers in addition to simple tools such as skis, where the stones were transported and lifted using skis. Skilled workers. There were teams of workers who specialize in lifting stones and transporting them to high sites. Skis. The skis was used to transport heavy stones, as the stones were placed on them and pulled through the flat surfaces. This theory is supported by many evidence of the use of skis in various periods of ancient Egypt's history. In addition, there are inscriptions that show workers using simple tools, such as ropes and skis. Although skis may be useful in some cases, their use in transporting huge stones may be ineffective. the relationship of the pyramids and engineering. The accuracy of engineering behind the construction of ancient Egyptian pyramids is one of the most wonderful and greatest architectural landmarks in history. It represents a complex engineering masterpiece that was built for thousands of years. Although it appears in its simple appearance as a huge block of stone, the engineering behind the construction of the pyramids reflects accurate and complex knowledge of physics, engineering, and mathematics. We will discuss the relationship of the pyramids with the science of engineering, with a focus on the engineering accuracy that entered into the design and construction of these amazing facilities. Engineering design of the pyramids. The Great Pyramid in Giza. The Pyramid of Khufu, the Great Pyramid in Giza, is the most prominent example of ancient Egyptian engineering. Its original height is 146 meter, currently 138 meters after losing part of its summit, and was considered the longest on Earth's face for a long time. But what really impresses it is the accuracy of its engineering design. The base. The base of the Khufu pyramid is almost perfect with dimensions of 230.4 meters by 230.4 meters, and it is considered among the most accurate geometric shapes in ancient times. In fact, the difference between the lengths of Al-Qaeda ribs does not exceed a few centimeters, which reflects the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptian engineers in achieving consistency. Corner. The angle of the inclination of the pyramids is about 51 degrees and 50 degrees. This angle is very accurate so that it is ideal for construction and resistance to pressure, ensuring the stability of the structure throughout the ages. Also, this angle is perfectly corresponding to the mathematical percentage known as the golden ratio in some recent studies. Mathematics and engineering behind the construction of the pyramids. Mathematics. The ancient Egyptians had an advanced understanding of mathematics, especially with regard to engineering forms. Their use of accurate engineering dimensions in building the pyramids is evidence of their knowledge of mathematics. For example, the golden ratio. There are many research that indicates that the pyramids were designed using the golden ratio, 1 to 1.618, which is a common percentage in nature, art, and engineering. In the Pyramid of Khufu, its dimensions are compatible with this percentage in an interesting way. Geodesy. Geodesy is the science that relates to the measurement of the Earth, and it seems that the ancient Egyptians have used this flag to measure land and determine the exact places of the pyramids. Observatory and navigational techniques have been used to measure the corners and alignment accurately. Micro-engineering measurements. Micro-tools were used to measure the corners and distance. Wooden pegs. They were used to adjust the corners and ensure straightening in dimensions. Building stability and architecture techniques. The slopes. As we mentioned earlier, the construction of the pyramids was not merely the laying of huge blocks of stone on top of each other, but rather required advanced techniques to ensure stability. Limestone shelter slopes were used to lift heavy blocks from quarries to higher altitudes. These slopes could be straight or spiral, according to the approved theory. The spiral slope. According to some theories, the spiral slope was built around the pyramid so that the stones could be raised on the slope to the upper layers with the progress of the construction. The straight slope. In other theories, it is believed that the slope was extending on the surface of the Earth from the base to the top, and it is gradually built with the progress of work. Lifting techniques. To lift heavy stones that can weigh several tons, they used innovative techniques such as skis. The stones were placed on skis, then pulled through the sand or on a flat surface using a team of workers. Rollers. It is possible that the rollers were used to facilitate the lifting of stones to the upper layers. These methods show the advanced engineering accuracy in the design of lifting mechanisms and the use of available resources. The accurate alignment of the pyramids, going to the geographical north. One of the most wonderful engineering features of the pyramids is its accurate attachment to the 4 geographical directions. The Pyramid of Khufu, for example, faces the geographical north with amazing degree. Astronomical methods were used for alignment, where the stars were monitored in the sky, especially the Sirius Poetic Star or the North Star Polaris, to determine directions. The exact angle the pyramid's alignment are accurately with geographical trends at 0.05% of the original corners, indicating an advanced level of astronomical and engineering understanding. The materials used and architectural technologies. Choose materials. The stones used in building pyramids varied between soft limestone and solid granite. Stones were extracted from different quarries, such as Giza quarries and limestone near the Saqqara Pyramid. Limestone. It was mainly used to build the outer structure of the pyramid. It was also used to build slopes. Granite. It was used in the most important places within the pyramid, such as burial rooms. It is believed that this stone was transferred from Aswan, hundreds of kilometers away. Architectural techniques. The ancient Egyptians used complex building techniques to ensure the stability of the pyramid. The stones were cut in high accuracy using simple but effective drilling tools. The stones were also stacked with extreme caution, using techniques such as the small hierarchical blocks that are gradually installed. Engineering and its relationship to religious symbolism. The design of the pyramids was not limited to the pure engineering side, but also carried religious and symbolic connotations. It was believed that the pyramids were solar flower, or the beam that brings the pharaoh to eternal life. The shape of the pyramid itself, which resembles a triangle, was considered a symbol of reaching the other world. Religious symbolism. The pyramids may have been designed to represent the ascending to the sky, where the ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaohs, after their death, rise to the sky. This symbolism finds its expression in the engineering form of the pyramid, which shows the transition from earth to the sky. Engineering behind the pyramids is a living testimony to the ancient Egyptian genius in their understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and physics. The design of the pyramids was not just a simple building, but was the embodiment of complex engineering knowledge that was amazingly applied. The engineering that the pharaohs used to build the pyramids remains one of the most wonderful architectural achievements in human history, and it highlights the ability of man to achieve a balance between science and art in building amazing architectural structures. Myths about the pyramids. Between the truth and the imagination, the Egyptian pyramids, especially the Pyramid of Khufu in Giza, are the focus of many myths and popular beliefs. These great structures, which were built thousands of years ago, have sparked the curiosity of humans and inspired their imagination since ancient times. The pyramids were associated with many legendary stories that tried to explain their construction and purposes, and some of these myths turned into part of the cultural heritage, even after thousands of years of construction. We review some of the famous myths that revolve around the pyramids and analyze them accurately. Legend around the pyramids as energy tools or abnormal powers. One of the most famous myths raised about the pyramids is the idea that they were energy tools or crossings for superpowers. Some believe that the pyramids were used as energy generators, or they were linked to cosmic events or aspects of the world of spirits. According to some modern and popular theories, it is believed that the shape of the pyramids, especially with the exact angles to align the pyramid with the sky, could have generated mysterious energy. It is believed that the pyramids were concentrated with electromagnetic energy or ground energy, such as cosmic energy or Jabathi, that affect the surrounding environment. There is no scientific evidence to prove that the pyramids were used as energy sources. However, the shape of the pyramid could have been given deep symbolic connotations in ancient cultures, which led to the emergence of this legend. The legend of curses and deadly strength. The legend of the curse of the pharaohs is one of the most famous myths related to the pyramids. It is believed that everyone who enters the grave of the pharaoh, tamper with it, or violates his directives will be subjected to ruin or death in an abnormal way. This legend began to appear after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922, when many people who participated in the archaeological campaign died, which led to the spread of the idea that the curse of the pharaoh is the cause of their death. It is said that the pharaohs have placed talismans in their graves and inside the pyramids to protect their bodies from thieves and from anyone who dares to violate the grave. These talismans included harsh threats and consequences for anyone who interfered in their burial places. Despite the popularity of this legend, there is no real evidence that proves the existence of an effective curse or a deadly effect of the pyramids or the graves of the pharaohs. Recent studies show that many deaths in the archaeological campaign can be explained by diseases or natural health conditions instead of curses. Legend about building pyramids by aliens. One of the most famous myths in the modern era is the idea that the pyramids were built by aliens or creatures from other worlds. It was believed that the ancient pharaohs were not able to build these huge structures themselves, and therefore the pyramids represent evidence of contact with space civilizations. It is rumored that space creatures visited the Earth in ancient times and helped build pyramids using very advanced techniques that did not exist in that period. It is believed that aliens have huge machines or techniques that may explain the transfer of huge stones or raising them to high altitudes. There is no scientific evidence to prove that aliens were part of the process of building the pyramids. On the contrary, archaeological studies indicate that the ancient Egyptians had advanced techniques in mathematics and engineering, which enables them to build the pyramids using the tools available to them. The legend of the pyramids as places to hide secrets and supernatural things. There is also a legend that the pyramids were a place to hide great secrets, such as old knowledge treasures, or even supernatural weapons or things that have non-human capabilities. Some believe that the pharaohs have hidden inside the pyramids forces or information that may change the course of history or the transformation of humanity. According to this legend, the pyramids served as stores of unusual wisdom, which may include advanced medical knowledge or unusual techniques that may provide humanity an unexpected progress. Some myths talk that the pyramids were hiding magic tools or ancient weapons that possess non-human powers. Although the pyramids were religious and intellectual centers, it is believed that the pharaohs have buried with them some treasures and amulets to help the afterlife life. There is no evidence of any kind of supernatural weapons or hidden knowledge. The legend may arise due to the luxury and mystery that surrounds the pyramids. The legend of annihilation inside the pyramid. Some myths talk that the pyramids may contain hidden doors or secret rooms that lead to mysterious places within the pyramid itself, where the person who enters it is vulnerable to addressing the souls of the dead or even moving to another world. Some believe that the pyramids may contain secret crossings that open only at a certain time, and that these crossings lead to invisible worlds or sacred places where the soul can meet with the gods or move between the dimensions. It was not scientifically proven that the pyramids contain secret rooms or magic places. But in reality, some pyramids contain complex burial rooms, and sometimes there are hidden corridors to prevent graves thieves. However, there is no evidence that supports the idea that these rooms lead to another world or contain magic powers. The legend of the pyramids as a reference to the battle of Cosmic. Some believe that the pyramids were like signs or symbols of the battle between the forces of good and evil in the universe. This belief is related to the idea that the pharaohs were trying to establish a stable cosmic system by building the pyramids in this unique form. It is believed that the pharaohs believed that building the pyramids in this way reflects the cosmic system and enhances the harmony between the earth and the sky. This legend may be inspired by the deep religious symbolism associated with the pyramids. The pharaohs were already connecting the pyramids to the other world, and they considered that these huge temples helped them reach eternity. But the myth that connects the pyramids to a cosmic battle may be more than just a symbolic interpretation. While the pyramids remain one of the greatest engineering achievements in history, The myths surrounding them add to their mysterious aura. Whether it relates to aliens, curses, or hidden secrets, these myths remain part of the human cultural heritage that tries to explain these architectural miracles in various contexts. However, the scientific truth behind the pyramids remains more clear, as the real achievement is the ability of the ancient Egyptians to build these landmarks using the techniques available to them in that era. Why were the pyramids built? The symbolism and religion. The Egyptian pyramids, especially the pyramids of Giza, are considered one of the greatest engineering achievements in human history. Although the pyramids were affected by many myths and beliefs, the main purpose of building these amazing monuments was closely related to religious symbolism and astronomical beliefs that prevailed in ancient Egypt. We will address why the pyramids were built and how they were associated with religious symbolism and the beliefs that prevailed in that period. The pyramids, as places to bury the pharaohs, the pyramids were mainly built as a royal grave, where it is believed that the pharaohs were building these huge facilities to ensure eternal life for themselves. The construction of the pyramids was associated with the belief that the king would remain alive in the hereafter, where the graves of the pharaohs were considered a key to protecting the body and spirit from annihilation. Religious beliefs. Eternity. The ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaohs needed a place to keep their bodies to move to the afterlife life. The aim of building the pyramids was to provide the pharaohs with the place that guarantees them eternity, spirit, and afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul, which is known as Ka and Ba, will continue to exist after death. The pyramids were a place to receive the soul after death and to achieve communication with the gods. Pyramids as a symbol of the sun. The hierarchy was inspired by the sun's ray that rushes towards the sky, which reflects the desire of the ancient Egyptians to reach the world of deities and eternity. Solar beam. It was believed that the pyramids represent a light beam that extends from the earth to the sky. The hierarchical form was symbolized by this upward movement towards the gods, where the king was considered as a servant of the gods, on top of which was the god Ra or Amun, the temple of the sun. The pyramids were part of a larger religious system that reflects the worship of the sun, and the pharaohs greeted the gods by building these structures that represent their ascension to the sky. Although the pyramids were burial places, they were also central religious sites for worship. Several rituals and celebrations were carried out in the vicinity of the pyramids. There were temples around the pyramids intended for the worship of the pharaoh's deities and the request of the spiritual peace of the dead. Funeral rituals, sacrifice and rituals. The funerary rituals were set around the pyramids to ensure the transfer of the soul to the afterlife. The offerings were offered to the gods and the pharaohs to ensure their satisfaction. The pyramids, as a symbol of power and ownership of the pyramids, were also an expression of the strength and power of the pharaoh, and they represent the greatness of the Egyptian property and the elevation. Building the pyramid required huge efforts of human and natural resources and reflects the political and economic superiority of Egyptian society during that period. Royal prestige. The pharaoh was considered a servant of God, and therefore the pyramids were built as an advertisement of the strength and immortality of the pharaoh. The pyramids were evidence of the ability of the pharaoh to control the land and its resources. The pyramids were also an affirmation that the pharaoh is a mediator between the people and the gods. By building the pyramids, the pharaoh showed his divine authority and his ability to organize and lead the nation towards a better last life. The pyramids, as astronomical temples, were the pharaohs believed that there is a close relationship between the pyramids and the heavenly phenomena, such as stars and planets. The construction of the pyramids in certain directions reflected a deep astronomical and religious balance, as the goal was to achieve a precise alignment with the stars and the gods. The alignment with the stars. The pyramids, especially the Pyramid of Khufu, were very carefully designed to comply with the stars and planets. Astronomical temples. In many pyramids, there were attached temples aimed at worshipping the gods associated with the sky, such as Ra, Horus, and Amun. Al-Ahram was a large temples that represent the communication between the earth and the sky. The pyramids as keys to the other world were considered as a gateway to the other world. It was not intended to provide a shelter for the pharaohs after their death. Rather, it was also working as a means of crossing to the hereafter. The pharaohs believed that the pyramids helped them climb to the world of the gods, where they lived in the bliss of eternity, preparing for the hereafter. The pyramids were devoted to performing the rituals needed to ensure the journey of the soul after death. By burying their kings in these facilities with all their material property that they might need in the afterlife life. The pyramids were more than just huge architectural facilities. It was a spiritual and cultural shift in the ancient Egyptians' understanding of life, death, and deities. The pyramids were built in order to be temples directed towards the sky, the idea of eternity, death, and worship of the gods, and they carry religious and cultural messages related to the royal authority and communication with the other world. The pyramids were a mixture of deep architectural art and religious symbolism that was in the heart of ancient Egyptian civilization. Despite our progress in science and technology, the construction of the pyramids remains one of the greatest puzzles in history. There are still many questions that have not yet been answered. Do we know everything about building the pyramids? Did the pharaohs use advanced techniques that were missing or even secret? What do you think? Do you think that there are missing secrets behind the construction of the pyramids? Do you think that the pharaohs used techniques that may have become extinct or disappeared? Let's discuss these questions together in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave you. Follow us for more exciting videos about ancient civilizations and their amazing secrets. Thank you for watching, and we see you in the next video.